Join me in a prayer, won't you? That Sunday's game looks a lot better than what we just watched, even though I only kind of half watched it. Um, Got to hit that extra point to tie it, but Houston seemed to have very little interest in playing offensive football. Christian McCaffrey hurt again, not good. Welcome in to paulkoharski.com. Thursday night halftime show. Titans 1-1, trying to get to 2-1 and get a leg up in the AFC South against the Colts at Nissan Stadium on Sunday. As they also tap into Love You Blue, which they're calling Love You Two-Tone Blue, as they honor Bum Phillips and put him in their ring of honor. But the much more important thing is trying to sustain the second half of what they did in Seattle and dismiss the two halves of football they played against Arizona in the first half they played in Seattle when they were not a very good football team. I had a cancer spot taken out from beneath my eye, which has been stitched up and is doing a decent job of healing. So hopefully it'll be healed soon and people can stop asking Chase, but understand the question. Of course, odds Carson plays. I don't know. It's not high ankle sprains. Not ideal when you haven't practiced Wednesday, Thursday, but could be in there. Certainly much better scenario for Indianapolis if he can play, but he is don't know. And they're doing weird things. I didn't hear what they did today, but Hundley got a lot of first team snaps, according to one report, as opposed to Eason on Wednesday. So I don't really understand what's going on there. There's a game the Titans should win. I mean, there are some causes for concern. DeForest Buckner, certainly. If Aaron Brewer is playing for Roger Saffold, or if Roger Saffold can't finish, DeForest Buckner will go in there. They've got another big defensive tackle, Grover Stewart, who's really good in tandem with DeForest Buckner. Ben Jones is beat up. He'll be in there, I would imagine, but going after that interior offensive line with Jones and Saffold beat up, or Brewer replacing Saffold, then Jones can't get out to handle Darius Leonard. You've got some problems there. Kwity Paye, a new factor, a second round draft pick, I believe. There's some problems there to be created, particularly if you can't get Derrick Henry going and those guys have to pass protect, which is a lot more difficult than run blocking for a patchwork offensive line. Lawan should be back. How steady is he? Has he got the mental thing settled down for himself? These things are concerns. But the Colts do not have outside speed threats. Michael Pittman, a nice receiver. He's not T.Y. Hilton, who's not around. He's on IR. Colts don't scare me at receiver. Colts should be scared of their cornerback matchups, and Julio Jones and or A.J. Brown should get going in this game against the Colts coverage. So I feel pretty good. Screens, slants, wear them down and feed Henry outside of the tackles, Trey said. I think that's also what the Colts are going to try to do. Nyheim Hines as a pass receiving running back, Jack Doyle, Pittman underneath, intermediate. And they'll have these quarterbacks who can bomb it, and they don't have receivers who can get downfield. And then steady Joseph Jonathan Taylor. Could be a fast game if it's a lot of Henry and Taylor. When do we start to see Farley get a good number of snaps? I mean, he didn't even dress last week. So how about see him dress and get beyond special teams? I mean, I think, it was health last week that kept him from dressing, but He's not shown them anything to indicate that he is ready to get in there and go. So I think he's a concern. Um, we shall see. What's up, Mark? Strong safety is an issue. They talked up Crookshank and what he did last week. The other thing is dime. I mean, they played a heavy percentage of dime package last week with Crookshank involved in that. So if you still want to go with the dime package and Crookshank is your starting strong safety, what are you doing then in dime? Is Matthias Farley in dime? Is Caleb Farley in dime? Are you scrapping dime? Is Breon Borders in dime? A lot of changes there. Trey, I have to admit, I'm sitting at my desk because my computer battery is weakening, and I was editing Blake Bedingfield's column in front of the first half of the game, and used up some of my battery. So I'd still rather sit over there with a straighter background, but I appreciate it. Yeah, Merck, that's a good question. Will these Titans be like the Titans of old and lay an egg against a team they should beat? I kind of wrote about that today. This attitude they had coming out of the Arizona game. Nobody expects us to win in Seattle. They always seem to thrive with that. And then even when they talked about how they talked at halftime of the Seattle game, their backs were against the wall. They had to show them true selves. They always seem to play well when they're cornered, but they never seem to play as well when they're favored or expected to be well. And they always talk. A.J. Brown has a quote in this piece talking about, when we get punched in the face, we always respond. But when do they punch people in the face and make the other team respond? Not often enough. And it's not something they talk about. They're always talking about responding to getting punched. They're never talking about punching. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I am equipped for better audio. I should be giving you better audio. And in 1 second, you shall have better audio. You got better audio? There we go. Their running game can be very dangerous, yeah. And the Titans, find ways to get burned by the Colts over and over and over. So that's a problem. If I'm a Titans fan, I'm certainly fearing it. Will David Long start again? He's not going to start again if J.M. Brown's okay. And J.M. Brown on the injury report, he didn't practice Wednesday. He was limited today with that hamstring injury. I think once Jayon Brown's fine, we're still going to see Jayon and Rashawn as the starters probably. But I would think that you could get into situations where if you have two inside linebackers on the field in a passing situation, it could be Jayon and David Long. And that would be a good idea. At least try it out. Rashaan Evans is not a good passing down linebacker. He's not a good linebacker, let's face it. But his strength is against the run, particularly short yardage and goal line stuff. He's in his last year here, and it would be interesting to sample that other combination. Thing is, Evans is 6 or 7 pounds the heaviest, 2 or 3 inches the tallest. So you'd really be going small with a long Brown pairing. So we shall see about that. But I think they should try it out, at least situation. Valerie, I don't know if you're mocking me on the audio or not, but I hope it is better. I should have had the microphone plugged in from the start, obviously. Molden, everybody got fired up about in the preseason, but he can be attacked. Blake Bedingfield's written about this. He wrote about it between games. Seattle certainly found a way to attack him with Lockett, getting the matchup. He can't hold up against Lockett. Speed is his liability. And so the interesting thing here is, when the Titans moved on from Logan Ryan, Mike Vrabel was talking about how it's become a more vertical position. Well, Molden is a good side to side guy who, can make contact with that slot receiver early, get his hands on him, mess up his timing, and all of those sorts of things. But guys can get behind him, and we've seen a guy get behind him for a touchdown in each of the first two games. Um, that can't keep happening. Jack Rabbit Jenkins said today, um, he's told Molden just go make a bigger play. So they're basically telling him to go get a pick six of your own to offset these plays being made against you. Molden's a good football player, but he's got to have help over the top against these faster guys because he is not a blazer. Now, Chris Jackson is a very fast. He was out sick today, I think. He's a very fast nickel corner, but he's not a natural nickel. He's just like a fast corner that can play nickel. And we saw him substitute for Molden. Look, things got a lot better for the Titans when Crookshank took over for McDougal, who's no longer on the team, and when Chris Jackson took over for Molden in the slot in the latter part of the second half in Seattle. Fixed the big problem they were having, and Seattle started making no plays, better yet, big plays. So, well, I mean, Josh is sticking with Molden here. He had some tough early covers. I mean, everybody's got good receivers. And this week is a rare game where the Titans aren't going to see blazing speed from a receiver. Uh, I guess the Jets aren't blazing off the top of my head, but Corey Davis is a guy that we know who can get behind people occasionally. Um, can't think of who the Jets drafted, but I know they've rebuilt their wide receiving core. Jaguars have a couple guys who can run. You're going to see a team that has fast receivers virtually every week. A team without fast receivers is the exception, not the rule. Very few teams are slow at the position. Yeah, Molden's got some safety potential, but you're getting down the road pretty quickly. Jack Rabbit was better at falling down in week 2. Um, I mean, the Texans have played well. Texans didn't. I mean, I didn't watch the game that closely because, like I said, I was editing Blake's column, which is up, but sounded like they didn't really intend to play offense or attempt to get down the field until the 2-minute drive. And then their kicker screwed them. Safety is definitely a concern. Crookshank or the other Farley, Matthias Farley. Elijah Moore's got some speed. Yeah, Trey. Front office and prior regime has hamstrung the roster. You're talking Texans, I imagine. Absolutely. I mean, Farley's not on the injury report this week, right, Josh? I'm going to look at that injury report right now to double check. Caleb Farley, no, he is. He did not practice. I'm sorry. He is on the injury report and he hasn't practiced this week. He's not playing this week, Caleb Farley. It's unbelievable that he isn't, that he can't, but he's not playing this week. No, I think if Hundley plays a lot, it'd still be Eason who starts. I mean, Eason's not on the injury report. I don't know what they're doing there exactly. And that was really only one report that came out about Hundley. Maybe that reporter's being used, but there wasn't a flood of confirmations that came out of that. I don't know why they'd be messing around with that so much. I mean, Brett Hundley is not a good quarterback. We know that. At least Eason hasn't proven that he's not a good quarterback yet, right? Yeah. Somebody says anything other than 4-1 heading into the Bills game is unacceptable in his opinion. To be a Super Bowl team, you have to win these games. I don't know how long you've been following the NFL, but unexpected losses happen to teams all the time. So, um, you know, should they lose any of these games? They should not lose to the Colts Sunday, but they lose to the Colts often. They lose to Colts who seem inferior in recent years. At times that it appears they should not. They should not lose to the Jets, but it's a road game. They should not lose to the Jaguars, but it's completely possible for them to lose one of those three games. The most losable of those games is this weekend. It's certainly possible for them to lose one of those games. Trey asked earlier, do I think the criticism of Vrabel as a head coach is valid? Most of that subsided in the second half against Seattle. Well, I mean, I think the criticism, I wrote some of the criticism of Vrabel after Arizona. I think, the criticism for his failures and having them ready for Arizona are valid. I think he was very nonchalant about training camp. You know, he said, well, we had who we had for training camp, and that was the plan. Well, the injury stuff is the injury stuff, but the plan was the plan. And he refuses to concede that the plan may have been a contributing factor. Um, you know, their unwillingness to it seemed like they finally had things right with Ficken, but they didn't have a kicker on the practice squad who had worked with Cox and Kern the week before the opener, and then Badgley had hardly kicked. Didn't do much work with those guys when he came in on Friday. That's an unfortunate timed injury, but why are they not ready for that? You have to have all those contingencies in place. I wrote a column about organizational arrogance, and I think Vrabel and Robinson have a degree of arrogance that bites them sometimes. I think Vrabel's a good head coach. I think he's a great leader of men, generally speaking. I think he does great work with the clock and situational football, and the times he's put too many men on the field to take advantage of stopping the clock in their favor and stuff like that has been excellent. I think he's gotten better at situational stuff. Can't punt from your own 40, can't punt from the opponent's 40 in a playoff game against Baltimore with 6 minutes left or whatever it was. That was a disaster. But I think he's a good football coach, but I think having a good second half in Seattle doesn't get you off the hook for bad stuff that happened against Arizona or in the first half of the Seattle game. And I think a lot of that stuff's on players, not on coaches. Now, is he overly stubborn with his coordinator choices and stuff like that? We'll find out over time. We'll see. I don't think they should be calling zero blitzes with off coverage, no matter what down it is. Oh, I think Dwayne says Vrabel's arrogance is much more. He said Vrabel's arrogance is much more earned than J-Rob. So, he's saying 3 Super Bowl rings gives Vrabel some cause for arrogance where J-Rob doesn't have as much of a resume. And I think he's, looking at some of Robinson's recent drafting, last 2 drafts where he can't get early picks on the field to help a team that needs help. 2 right tackles drafted, one who played 4 snaps in the league and is out of the league, a complete waste. Another one who didn't dress week 1, played some special teams week 2, and is not part of the answer right now for a team that is struggling at tackle in Dylan Radins. It's a big disappointment. Big disappointment. No Super Bowl rings as a coach, Mark, but not a lot of guys have Super Bowl rings in their first 3 years either. I mean, Ivan Gregory says, I don't know. J Rob has a pretty decent resume. Some misses, sure, but some good players he's drafted. His recent record is not very good. I mean, everybody immediately, when you're critical of his record, not everybody, but a lot of people immediately, when you're critical of his record, go back to find his successes. But the last couple drafts have not been very fruitful. And you go back to last year, it's free agents. Excuse me. Clowney didn't answer anything. Beasley was an absolute disaster. Dupree, we're going to wait on, it looks like, for some time. He hasn't done anything in his first 2 games. He's very patient with injured guys. So we'll see. His actions at kicker over the last 3 years have been, for some guys would be a fireable offense. I like John. I think John's done an overall good job, but John is not on a hot streak right now. Trey says late picks landing don't wash out early picks flopping, and that's true. Though Cortland Finnegan turning into a Pro Bowl caliber player certainly helped the Titans survive Pac-Man Jones. I think Jonathan Merck, he says it very well here. Let's get this up. He says Titans coach and GM are average/good, but not at the level of arrogance they display. I think that's fair. And look, I think also there's kind of a, the end of Fisher, Munchak, certainly Wisenhunt was the bottom, and then Malarkey. That all was average and bad. And people are really scared of the Wisenhunt. And so they continue to judge Robinson and Vrabel for some reason against like Webster and Wisenhunt, which isn't what they should be judged against at all. Maybe at the beginning you judge Robinson and Malarkey against that, but once they got to 9 and 7, then you stop judging it against Wisenhunt, which was the bottom, and you start judging it against 9 and 7 in a wild card. Jamie asks if Vrabel's helped save J-Rob from the hot seat by winning with much less talent than you should expect from high draft picks that have been washed. I tell you, I mean, I don't think either of them are close to the hot seat, but I think J-Rob is more firmly in place than Vrabel. J-Rob is tighter with Amy Adams Strunk, and I think she would be much less likely to do something with J-Rob than with Vrabel. Also, J-Rob's Vrabel's boss, per se. Eric, this is the wrong way to go here. Titans fans forget how bad we had it with coaching not that long ago. That's not the way you should think. Oh, well, Vrabel, winning 9 games or 11 last year, but mostly 9. That's so much better than Wisenhunt. We should be happy. The Wisenhunt thing's ancient history. You judge Vrabel now against Vrabel. Vrabel should be getting better. I like Vrabel, but Vrabel should be judged against Vrabel, not against Wisenhunt. My battery's dying, and we want to get back to this game. So a couple more quick. It doesn't matter that J-Rob is VP. It matters that Vrabel hired the coach. Yeah, he's an executive VP. I've written that, James. I think they both get extensions. Sorry. I think they both get extensions after this season, heading into the last year of their current 5-year deals. 9 and 7 to 11 and 5 is better. AFC Championship game 2 first round flop is worse. Kind of washes out. Yeah, I'm not playing that game at this stage, Mark. This is true, and we'll leave it on here. Something about Tennessee fans is a little weird, but not you people, because you're smart enough to subscribe and be members here at paulkoharski.com. Been lovely chatting with you. Let's go watch the second half of this game, see if Chubba Hubbard or whatever his name is can do some things. I think Carolina should win this game by the spread or bigger. Texans not going to go that far on high energy. Carolina much more skilled. Good to see you all. I will see you Sunday evening in a post-game chat, hopefully when you're all happy after a nice result. Titans should win this game, but again, doesn't mean much when you say should against the Colts. So we'll see. Don't block the box. Do lock the locks. Join us tomorrow on Outkick 360 from 2 to 5 Central. Best trio talking about sports you're going to find, and we will certainly hit on the Titans and the Colts in a big way tomorrow, as well as many other issues at hand. We'll be banging hats. Don't block the box. Do lock the locks. I really appreciate you all. Thanks.